awkwardly and said, "This is La Tin Street, but it's in Gangnam, not City J. Try checking your navigation app." Yuioja found her phone had run out of battery just as she was about to open the navigation app. SongSeoHaeng handed her his phone to use. The moment he did, his phone played a light, melodious tune. Afterwards, Yuioja handed back the phone and said, "Senior Song, your phone has also run out of battery." SongSeoHaeng took back his phone, thought for a moment, and then asked Yuioja, "Are you in a hurry to get to the Gdangzai?" Yuioja smiled and replied, "Not too urgent, but the sooner, the better. If I arrive late, it might be gone. Actually, I'm worried that if my father returns from Samrang, he might make me go back." SongSeoHaeng suggested, "How about you come with me to the dormitory? We can use the computer to find the route and you can charge your phone there." Yuioja agreed and followed SongSeoHaeng. He casually asked, "Is the dormitory where you live?" Immediately after, SongSeoHaeng awkwardly explained, "No, it's a male dormitory. Bringing such a beautiful woman here would cause quite a stir." SongSeoHaeng led the way, and Yuioja made sure to keep her hood up, cautiously looking around. Although Yuioja had some doubts, she didn't voice them. Eventually, they arrived at SongSeoHaeng's dorm room without any issues. Yuioja looked around and remarked, "So this is what a male dormitory is like. I didn't expect it to be so dangerous." SongSeoHaeng sighed in relief, thinking that it was fortunate that today was Sunday and the dormitory was empty. Otherwise, bringing a beautiful girl here would have caused quite a scene. SongSeoHaeng, as usual, asked if Yuioja wanted something to drink. She replied calmly, "Ling mi bi che." Upon hearing this, SongSeoHaeng mentally chastised himself. He almost forgot that this girl had a heavy fantasy-prone personality. He then said, "We don't have that here. We only have orange juice, water, Coke, and milk. Choose from these." Yuioja was silently puzzled. Ling mi bi che was a type of spiritual tea used to entertain guests in the world of cultivation. To not have it here, she then thought that perhaps SongSeoHaeng was in seclusion, practicing in the mundane world to maintain a pure spiritual platform. So, she bowed slightly and said, "Senior, just give me some orange juice." SongSeoHaeng awkwardly replied, "It's just orange juice. You don't need to be so grateful." After handing the orange juice to Yuioja, they started using the computer to search for directions. SongSeoHaeng said, "I checked, and it's quite far from here to La Tin Street in City J. It will take about 5 hours by car." Yuioja innocently asked, "Senior, is it possible to reach there by taxi, even though it's such a long distance?" SongSeoHaeng twitched his mouth slightly, awkwardly laughing, "You can get there by taxi, but it's quite far, and finding a willing driver might be difficult." Yuioja worriedly asked, "So what should we do?" SongSeoHaeng suggested, "We can take the train. It's much faster than a taxi. It should take about 2 hours at most." Yuioja then asked, "When should we set off?" SongSeoHaeng suddenly felt something was off. He stopped and turned to Yuioja, asking, "Are you saying you want to book 2 tickets? For both of us?" Yuioja realized she had been a bit presumptuous, not asking for SongSeoHaeng's opinion before deciding. After apologizing, she shyly asked, "Senior, could you possibly go with me? I really feel lost and uneasy." SongSeoHaeng scratched his head, awkwardly smiling, "Although I'd like to help, I'm afraid I might not be able to. I have classes tomorrow afternoon. If it's not too urgent, I can go with you next Friday. I'll have time then to go to City J with you." Yuioja's face fell when she heard next week. SongSeoHaeng didn't notice Yuioja's strange expression behind him. She lost all her shyness and straightforwardly asked, "If you don't have classes tomorrow afternoon, could you come with me to City J?" SongSeoHaeng nodded, saying, "If the task Yuioja has is not too time-consuming, it's not impossible. However, tomorrow's class was scheduled before the semester started. It can't be cancelled without a special reason." They continued to search for information. They found details about La Tin Street and City J, but there was still no information about Gdangzai. No details or markers on the map. Yuioja then asked, "Senior, could I borrow your computer? I'll search for information myself." Perhaps Buka Sr. in the group might have some news. SongSeoHaeng agreed and also charged Yueoja's phone for her. As SongSeoHaeng turned away, Yueoja acted very quickly, typing furiously. She quickly found information about SongSeoHaeng's class schedule for tomorrow. The schedule was set and, of course, couldn't be easily changed, but in this world, there are always many unforeseen circumstances. For example, the professor in charge of the subject accidentally fell off the bed and twisted his ankle. Yueoja clasped her hands in earnest, facing the picture of the venerable Master Shen Shui on the screen and said, "So this is the professor for the Tuesday afternoon class? I'm sorry. It seemed that tomorrow's class would be either temporarily cancelled or delayed for several days." Just as she had finished arranging everything, Yueoja inadvertently noticed an open notebook next to SongSeoHaeng. The recipe for the potion was clearly visible. "Senior, you're also researching this potion?" Yueoja asked, excitedly picking up the notebook. "But why do you only note down the common and simple ingredients, and not include rare ones like the King Lu Swan herb?" Yueoja suddenly exhibited her overthinking abilities, assuming that SongSeoHaeng was working on improving the formula to reduce the cost of creating the potion. So she eagerly asked, "Senior, how many vials can you make at once?" SongSeoHaeng felt awkward and thought to himself, "This formula is about to be considered a shared secret." He quickly denied, "I don't make it." He couldn't possibly make this strange, middle-grade potion. However, he didn't want to dampen her enthusiasm, so he concocted a reason. "Actually, it's because it's inconvenient to find ingredients where I am, so I haven't had the chance to make it." Yueoja, upon hearing this, was very enthusiastic. "Sorry, Senior. So when I return, I'll send 2 boxes of medicine as a token of gratitude." Although SongSeoHaeng had some doubts about what the 2 boxes might contain, he didn't want to refuse. "I can just discard them later if needed." SongSeoHaeng then asked Yueoja to give him her ID so he could book the tickets using his personal account. Yueoja handed over her ID and said, "Thank you, Senior. Can I go up to the rooftop to have a look?" "Of course you can," SongSeoHaeng replied, taking the items and sighing. A girl as good as this, so polite, but unfortunately suffers from a middle-grade delusion. Meanwhile, the girl with the delusion was standing outside the window, looking around to ensure no one was watching. She put on a pair of seemingly strange sunglasses, which displayed the words, "See 1,000 miles away." Stepping up one more floor, these sunglasses were a magical artifact crafted by Lin Dai, the revered master who was also Yueoja's father. The sunglasses could enhance human vision to the heavens, allowing one to see the world through the eyes of a deity. It didn't take long for Yueoja to find the venerable Master Shen Shui. At that moment, Master Shen Shui was holding his small daughter in his arms, singing, "Sleep well, my dear. Daddy will sing the little star song for you." Yueoja also took out a talisman and said, sorry, I'm truly sorry. I'll make it up to you in the future. But right now, your injured leg needs to be taken to the hospital." Despite the sincerity of her apology, the sunglasses only made Yueoja appear even cooler. In Master Shen Shui's home, he had just started singing the Little Star Song when he suddenly fell off the bed, not knowing the reason why. The sound of an ambulance quickly followed. Outside Master Shen Shui's apartment, his wife followed the stretcher, urging him to hang in there. Meanwhile, at SongSeoHaeng's place, after a bit of tinkering, Yueoja removed the sunglasses, let out a sigh of relief, and marveled at how easily the task had been completed. After performing such a grandiose act, Yueoja entered the room with an innocent and harmless expression, smiling and said, "Senior Song, are you booking the tickets? How about you book one for yourself as well? There's a chance you won't have a class tomorrow afternoon." SongSeoHaeng, thinking it was just a joke, laughed and said, "If I really don't have a class, I'll book another ticket." Just then, his computer chimed with a notification, a class cancellation notice. "Dear students of Class 43, Batch 19 from the School of Machinery and Design, Department of Engineering, please be advised that due to Master Shen Shui's injury and hospitalization, tomorrow afternoon's statistics class will be replaced by Professor Smith's English class. Please inform each other and prepare accordingly. Thank you." SongSeoHaeng was puzzled and said, Master Shen Shu got injured? What a coincidence. But now, the class is changed to English, and we have to attend that old-fashioned Smith's class. Hearing this, Yuio just silently shed tears. This was truly a case of higher cultivation, higher demons. However, she quickly composed herself and decided to drag the protagonist along. Resolutely, she thought, whether it's sending one teacher to the hospital or two, it's the same. Either do it or don't do it at all. If we're doing it, let's do it thoroughly. On the other side, Professor Smith was taking his beloved dog for a walk. Suddenly feeling a chill run down his spine, Professor Smith wondered why he felt cold despite the sunny weather. He thought it was strange to feel an odd coldness. On Yuioja's side, she continued using her vision-enhancing magical artifact to target Professor Smith. Despite this, she kept muttering, sorry, I'll make it up to you later. After finishing her spell, she returned to where the protagonist was sitting and leaned over to look at him. At that moment, SongSeoHaeng was typing on his computer and said, Yuioja, I've booked your train tickets. Coincidentally, a notification came through at that moment. Dear students of Class 43, Batch 19 from the School of Machinery and Design, Department of Engineering. Due to Professor Smith being bitten by a dog and hospitalized, tomorrow's English class has been cancelled and you have the afternoon off. Please inform each other. Thank you. At that moment, SongSeoHaeng felt like 1,000 ants were running through his mind. He exclaimed, what kind of trick is this? And looked at Yuioja, who was displaying an innocent and unaware expression. He could only silently sweat and didn't say anything further. He thought the events of the day seemed a bit supernatural. The next day, precisely at 3 p.m., in the dormitory, SongSeoHaeng was urging Yuioja, let's get going. Yuioja, still scrolling on her computer, said, I haven't found any information about the Gi-Dang Temple. I don't know if it has been renamed or relocated. We might have to ask the locals. The protagonist suggested, we'll figure it out when we get there. Let's ask around first. Before long, the two of them were comfortably seated on the train heading to the city. Sitting side by side allowed SongSeoHaeng a better view of the suddenly appearing girl. Looking at Yuioja, SongSeoHaeng thought to himself that her beauty was comparable to the leading ladies in urban novels. If this were a novel, at this moment, a young man would approach her, trying to get acquainted and provoke some kind of conflict, leading to a showdown to eliminate the potential threat. SongSeoHaeng was lost in these thoughts, smiling foolishly. However, as time passed and nothing happened, he began to feel sleepy. While yawning, he thought, I can't believe no one is causing trouble. Everything written in novels must be fake. Suddenly, Yuioja, deeply asleep, shifted to one side. Yuioja, having fallen asleep with her head resting on the protagonist's shoulder, startled him. Although he was surprised, he quickly closed his eyes again, thinking to himself that he could just sleep a bit longer and wake up when they reached their destination. Time passed, and the peaceful scene was disrupted by an announcement from the train. Hello, passengers. The train has arrived at Black Elephant Station. Please take your luggage and important belongings and exit through the right side of the train. At this point, the protagonist gently shook Yuioja awake. She stirred, blinking her jade-green eyes open, and sleepily said, Is it already morning? There was even a bit of drool at the corner of her mouth. Her unguarded state was so endearing that the protagonist felt like he might choke on his own breath. His mind felt as if it had been blown to pieces, overwhelmed by her adorable appearance. Recovering his composure, the protagonist stood up and said, The train has arrived. Let's get off. Yuioja asked, What time is it? SongSeoHaeng, who was already carrying his bag, replied, It's 6:08 p.m. We've arrived in City Dai. After exiting the train, they quickly took a taxi to Latin District. Yuioja, smiling brightly, said, All right, I'll follow your lead. Her smile was so innocent and pure. As she followed the protagonist, she thought to herself that she enjoyed this very much, having everything arranged for her, from eating and staying to just needing to follow along. Soon, they arrived at a hotel and checked in. While registering, the protagonist asked the receptionist about Gi-Dang Temple. The receptionist responded, I'm sorry, but it's been a very long time since that temple was around. You might want to ask some older people. Disappointed, the protagonist said, there's no Dang temple. How about temples with similar names? At that moment, Yuioja came over and asked, I've put away the luggage. Where should we go next, senior? SongSeoHaeng suggested, let's just stroll around and see if we can find any elderly people to ask. Maybe we can get some information. As the two were engrossed in their conversation, they didn't notice a girl with purple hair walking by. She was on the phone, saying, Leader, I'm at the hotel in Latin. I've seen someone inquiring about Dang Temple. There's a man and a woman. She looks quite strong, while he seems like an ordinary person. As she spoke, she revealed a tattoo of a vine-like symbol on her wrist, which appeared to be a mark of some kind of dark sect. The girl continued speaking on the phone, but that girl seems to show great respect for the person she's with, always calling him senior. On the other end of the line, a man with slick back hair and a beard, looking to be in his 40s, responded, Continue to monitor their location. Don't let them notice. I will arrange an opportunity to test their depth. After hanging up, the man, sitting in a very peculiar place surrounded by eerie blue flames flickering around, muttered, 65. I thought the original owner of Dang Temple had completely lost interest in this matter. I didn't expect that someone would still come. 2 people. Meanwhile, SongSeoHaeng and Yuioja were walking down the street when SongSeoHaeng suddenly asked Yuioja, Are you sure Dang Temple is in Latin district of this city? Hearing this, Yuioja replied firmly, Absolutely. Dang Temple is indeed here. When my mother was pregnant, I came here using my father's magical powers to observe the outside world. I only remember a sign that said Dang Temple. The protagonist, thinking about this, was left speechless, observing the outside world while in the womb. Our thinking levels are truly on different planes. He asked Buka if there was any news. Nu too, holding her phone, smiled and said, Yes, there is news now. In the chat group, Buka replied, Yuioja, have you found Dang Temple yet? Ryunjapto Yuioja responded, Not yet. Senior, do you have any updates? Bukatane replied, Sorry, unfortunately, my contact is in the eastern part of Hoaxia. No one knows about the city here. Moreover, there was a very fierce person who's been troubling me, so I'm afraid I can't help further. Ryunjapto Yuioja replied, That's fine, senior. You continue with your work. The protagonist thought, seeing Buka's message about being busy, that it was always the case when he didn't need help. Buka was available 24/7, but when he did need help, Buka was suddenly unavailable. After finishing the conversation with Buka, Yuioja said, It's okay, senior. We'll rely on ourselves. Just then, the protagonist received a notification on his phone. He picked it up and smiled at Yuioja, saying, I have some news. Let me take you to a place. Soon, they arrived at a meeting point where someone was already waiting. The person, seeing the protagonist, greeted him with joy. Ha ha ha, where did this handsome guy find such a beautiful woman? The protagonist, seeing the person, simply pointed towards him. Baja was surprised to see that the protagonist was also in D-City. He put his arm around the protagonist's shoulders and said, I'm visiting my grandfather this week. My grandfather lives in Latin district. Maybe he knows about Dang Temple that you're looking for. Coincidentally, Baja's grandfather was also nearby. Hearing the mention of Dang Temple, he commented, It's surprising that young people nowadays know about this place. Yuioja approached and asked, Do you know where Dang Temple is? The old man didn't answer directly but said, Head east. Walk about 700 meters and you'll find a forest. There's an old large tomb there. That used to be the location of Dang Temple. Hearing this, Yuioja's face fell as she asked, So, Dang Temple has been destroyed? Baja's grandfather confirmed, yes, over 6 years ago, someone razed it and built a large tomb instead. I wondered if that person had bought the place many years ago. Yuioja was surprised by how much Baja knew. The old man continued, At that time, Dang Temple was originally owned by Huang Dakin. He planned to level the land to make a tomb and then sell it at a high price to outsiders. But after a few years, When that person didn't come back, he felt relieved and decided to build a large tomb for himself. The protagonist was astonished. How could someone be so shameless? Yaoja didn't dwell on it much and added, "The Huang family must have almost all perished, right?" The old man asked, "How do you know that?" Yaoja explained, "Because there was a spiritual entity in Gidang Temple. An expert had purchased it and designed a seal to prevent the spirit from harming people. When it was destroyed and turned into a tomb, the spirit would naturally come to take revenge and devour their vitality." Baja grandfather looked at her, then closed his eyes and said, "Young people should believe in science. Knowledge is power. Don't fall for superstitions." He then turned and walked inside. The protagonist was left questioning whether it was really just superstition or if there was something to it. Nonetheless, the two did not give up. By 1:30 a.m., they arrived at the location of Bidang Temple. The protagonist asked Yaoja, "Why are we going to Gidang Temple in the middle of the night?" Yaoja, excited, replied, "Yes, senior. Because midnight is the best time to find spiritual entities." At this moment, one of them was holding a lantern while the other carried a suitcase. The protagonist asked, "Is it okay? Do you need any help?" Yaoja, confident, replied, "Don't worry, senior. It's just a minor spirit. It can't harm me. You just need to stand by and help maintain the formation." The protagonist thought to himself that helping to catch a spirit and maintain the formation seemed manageable. Soon, they arrived at the large tomb. The eerie atmosphere made the protagonist shiver with cold. Yaoja noticed this and said, "We're here. Let's start setting up the formation." She then took out her suitcase, and a golden light flashed, obscuring what was inside. A moment later, she scattered some kind of powder around the area. The protagonist sat on a nearby rock, observing her work while yawning and saying, "It's the middle of the night. Why am I following the girl around to catch spirits? I'm so sleepy." After spreading the powder, Yaoja took out a string with many small charms attached to it and began performing the ritual. Her ritual performance was so beautiful that the protagonist was captivated. While Yaoja was engrossed in her ritual and did not notice the protagonist's unease, he collected himself, turned his face away, and said, "Dancing in a graveyard at 3 in the morning is quite an unusual hobby. But the scene is actually quite beautiful." Suddenly, he had an idea and reached into his pocket to get his phone. He thought he should capture the beautiful scene. However, he fumbled and dropped the phone on the ground. As he picked it up, he was startled by something that appeared nearby. Immediately, he saw two spirits manifest. Yaoja, noticing this, was puzzled. There should have been only one spirit sealed by my father. Why are there two now? Who let the other one in? The two spirits attacked, and Yaoja quickly activated her protective charms to repel them. She thought to herself, "Fortunately, with my third-grade Heavenly War King and the powerful energy I've gathered, combined with the high-level equipment my father provided, I can say I'll eliminate any spirit or god that comes my way." She then threw a bunch of charms to form a shield, trapping one of the spirits, while surrounding the other with a fierce fire that emitted a piercing sound. Seeing the situation before her, Yaoja thought that her innate magic skills were indeed effective. Both spirits were at least intermediate level. She then made a gesture with her hands, forming a butterfly symbol. A large butterfly appeared in front of her, and she said, "This is your trump card. If that's all you have, you should surrender obediently." She then used her secret technique, Ryumjapto, butterfly dance. Countless butterflies emerged from the technique and attacked the two spirits, causing them to collapse to the ground. Seeing this, she confidently declared, "The heavy injuries have rendered them unable to resist. Now, we just need to form a pact." However, the two spirits did not give up. They pulled their chains together and merged into one, attempting to launch a sneak attack and escape. Seeing this, Yaoja quickly tried to avoid them, realizing that she had let them escape. The two spirits then charged toward the protagonist, intending to attack him. Yaoja, seeing this, urgently shouted, "Senior, look out!" and transformed into butterflies, trying to fly over to intervene. However, she was too late. At this moment, the protagonist, while picking up his phone and noticing a branch nearby, was startled and said, Isn't that the poisonous dragon herb the apothecary mentioned in the group? Before he could assess whether this herb was dangerous to human life, he knew he had to ensure Yuaova didn't find out. He reached out, pulled the branch up, and said, "Otherwise, she'll definitely find a way to give it to the apothecary." Just as the two spirits were about to reach him, something extraordinary happened. A large beam of light shot straight into the sky, repelling the two spirits and sending them flying. The protagonist, confused, turned to Yuaoja and asked, "What just happened?" Yuaoja, seeing the two spirits incapacitated and lying on the ground, said, "Senior, you're amazing." From Yuaoja's perspective, the protagonist had shown an impressive display of power. She said, "A tiny spirit is nothing worth mentioning. Although I seem to be casually sitting here, in reality, I had already detected the second formation." After saying this, the protagonist pulled out the poisonous dragon herb. The herb turned out to cool down the pressure of the formation. Yuaoja, immersed in her own illusions, said, as expected of a senior, "I still have a lot to learn. I can't let you underestimate me." She then performed a ritual to seal the two spirits and used the ice crystal seal to complete the task. Immediately, the two spirits were drawn into the two large orbs in Yuaoja's hands. The scene left the protagonist speechless. The sight was truly mystical, and no matter how advanced scientific knowledge was, it couldn't explain the phenomena before him. Perhaps in this world, there truly are ghosts and monsters. After sealing the two spirits, Yuaoja held up the two orbs and said, "Senior, thank you so much this time. Without your help, these two spirits might have escaped." The protagonist, still not fully understanding the situation, laughed and said, "What a peculiar joke." Yuaoja, holding the two orbs with both hands, said, "Senior, I only need one. Please accept the other as a gift. Although, with your cultivation level, you may not need it, you could give it to your descendants or disciples." Seeing the protagonist's refusal, Yuaoja looked disappointed but continued to persuade him, "Please accept it. You've helped me so much on this trip to the ghost temple. I would feel deeply ashamed if I did not reciprocate." Seeing her earnest plea, the protagonist finally agreed. "All right, if it's your sincere offer, I will accept it. I assume the spirit within the orb won't escape in the short term." After completing everything, Yuaoja, with her familiar suitcase in hand, walked side by side with the protagonist as they left the forest. She said, "Spirits have nearly disappeared in modern society. We've finally captured them. Let's head back." Meanwhile, the protagonist thought, "My worldview, built over 18 years, has collapsed halfway in an instant." As the two of them continued out of the forest, they were unaware that the man from before was still standing behind them. He looked at them and said, "This girl is probably the legendary third-rank heavenly war king. Besides, there's just an ordinary man who casually sat by and managed to locate the eye of the ceiling formation I set up. If he had acted recklessly, it might have been even more disastrous than the two spirits." Although he said this, his eyes still showed greed. He said, "No, I cannot let this go. At the very least, I must retrieve the spirit that belongs to me." Even an old man like me murmured, "If I have even one, I would have a chance to break through to the second-ranked true master and extend my lifespan by another 100 years. Lost in thought, the old man failed to notice that another man was standing far off, observing him. The man picked up his phone, called someone, and said, "Master, it's me, Liu Jian. Junior sister has successfully sealed the spirits. I estimate that she will return to Ryongjapto tomorrow or the day after." Yes, everything went smoothly. However, there was a minor unexpected situation, such as the matter with the sect leader, or rather the man named SongSeoHaeng. After ending the call, he remarked, "This guy is quite astute, so he hasn't acted yet. But about SongSeoHaeng, if Master finds out about Yuaova's close relationship with him, he'll definitely be furious. Who knows if he'll arrange for me to keep an eye on SongSeoHaeng? This is troublesome. It's best if he doesn't find out." On Monday, June 3rd, under a sunny sky, SongSeoHaeng was seeing Yuaoja off to her car and asked if she wanted to visit his place. But Yuaoja replied, "Thank you, senior, but I need to hurry home to deal with this spirit first." Hearing this, SongSeoHaeng said, "All right then. You can take a taxi to the airport by yourself. Is that okay with you? Yuayoja responded, no problem. By the way, senior, what is your postal address? I still need to send you 2 boxes of medicine. The protagonist, upon hearing this, declined, forget about it. We can deal with it another time. However, Yuaoj insisted, please senior, don't make me a person who goes back on her word to Ryungjapto. We always stand by our promises. Seeing her determination, the protagonist agreed, and noted down his postal address in a notebook for Yuaoja. What he didn't realize was that today's actions would lead to an earth-shattering change in his life. If it weren't for her insistence on giving him the 2 boxes of medicine, his life would have continued as a normal person, working, marrying, raising children, retiring, and eventually growing old. After receiving the postal address, she hurried to her car and didn't forget to wave goodbye. The protagonist also waved back and said, it's finally over. I guess we probably won't have a chance to meet this girl again. In the chat group, Bukatane asked if Yuaoja had found the ghost temple yet. Yuaoja replied, I found it and successfully completed the mission. I'm now on my way home. Before that, I mistakenly went to the Latin district in Gangnam. But fortunately, I met a very skilled senior there. The senior helped me find the ghost temple and assisted me in completing the task. Bukachan Nan was surprised and asked, what's the name of this senior? Yuaoja responded, I asked the senior for their name, but they didn't tell me. I forgot to ask again. However, I do know that their secular name is SongSeoHaeng. Bukatane commented, the name SongSeoHaeng seems somewhat familiar. Anyway, congratulations to Yuaoja for completing the task successfully. Yuaoja replied, thank you, Buka Senior. You have also helped me a lot. I'm boarding the plane now, so I'll talk more later. The next day, Tuesday, June 4th, it was extremely hot. In the classroom during a math lesson that had been missed from the previous day, the protagonist was taking notes. He had the ice crystal with him, which emitted a cool mist, making everyone unconsciously move closer to him despite the scorching heat. He wondered if there was an air conditioner around him. As he wrote, he was also puzzled by the content the teacher was explaining. He could remember things after hearing them once, and even quickly grasped the key points. With the ice crystal, his mind felt clear, and his thoughts were sharp. Previously, he had to learn vocabulary words 3 or 4 times to remember them, but now he could memorize them after just one glance or hearing them once. He then thought about Yuaoja, wondering if these things were beyond the scope of scientific explanation. The ice crystal truly sealed a spirit. Could the cultivation of martial arts be real and not just a legend? Did immortals who ride the wind and clouds actually exist? Could moving mountains and filling seas be possible? If these things exist, could the people suffering from diseases in the 9 regions be truly immortal beings among humans? As soon as the break began, everyone quickly left their seats to get some fresh air. At that moment, a fierce-looking man entered and asked, is SongSeoHaeng here? The protagonist, surprised, replied, that's me. May I ask what you need? Seeing the protagonist, the man greeted him warmly with a smile and handed over a business card. He said, I'm from the Fengshu Express Delivery Service. We have 2 large packages for you, SongSeoHaeng, which were urgently shipped by air. Since these are from a very important client, you need to sign for them personally for them to be valid. The protagonist, surprised, wondered who had sent him express deliveries, especially by air. He recalled that Yuaoja had mentioned sending 2 boxes of medicine. Realizing this, he asked, excuse me, where is the delivery? The man was slightly unsure how to respond to this casual term, but eventually smiled and said, the packages have been delivered to the entrance of your dormitory. Please go check. As the protagonist went back to the dorm to check, he felt that the situation was quite extravagant. Behind him were 2 tall, muscular men carrying his packages, and 4 bodyguards with shaved heads and black sunglasses surrounding them. He asked in astonishment, is this how the Fengshu Express Delivery Service operates? You all look like characters from a gangster movie. The man continued with a business smile, our service is always top-notch. However, since this shipment is from a special client, the service is even better. If there are no issues, please sign here. The protagonist looked at the receipt and saw that the sender was indeed Yueoja. After signing, the men left. The man said, "Goodbye, SongSeoHaeng. I wish you a happy life." After bidding farewell to them, SeoHaeng examined the packages and thought, "These boxes must contain the medicinal ingredients needed to refine the simplified version of the Dan pills that Yueoja mentioned." Upon opening the boxes, he saw that they were compartmentalized with various medicinal ingredients, ranging from rare to unfamiliar and things he had never seen before. He thought, with these ingredients and the prescription from the pharmacist, could I refine the simplified version of the Dan? If it works as described in the immortal novels, could it really bring about a transformation? SeoHaeng picked up a lingji mushroom and said, "Perhaps I should try using the prescription to see if I can verify if cultivation is real." SongSeoHaeng was bringing each box of medicinal materials into his dorm room, mumbling to himself, "First, I'll put these herbs away. I hope my roommates won't meddle with them. All right, it's time to start refining the elixir." However, he thought, but to refine the elixir, I need an alchemy furnace. A real furnace might be a bit impractical, so I'll need to find a substitute. He scanned his messy dorm room, and after about 5 minutes, he took out a large pot. He thought, it's definitely different from an alchemy furnace, but it seems to be the most reliable option right now. Having found a makeshift pot for alchemy, he began taking out the medicinal materials. The ginseng, wolfberry, and other herbs were arranged according to the prescription provided by Yueoja, with even the quantities specified. Yueoja was really thorough and meticulous. I don't need to ask the group for advice anymore. He then picked up the notebook he had used before and reviewed the instructions. The alchemist said to add the herbs to the pot in the prescribed proportions, boil for about 5 minutes, and then simmer for another 5 minutes. Pay attention to the heat and stir regularly until the potion thickens and becomes clear with a foul smell. It sounds simple enough. As long as I'm careful, anyone should be able to succeed. He added the herbs to the pot, and as he prepared to cover it, he noticed that the prescription didn't mention whether to add water. Maybe I should ask the group chat, he thought. But no, since this is my first time refining the elixir, there will likely be many issues. I'll just add a large cup of water to the pot and continue. If I keep asking every time there's a problem, I'll fail after 5 minutes, and no amount of herbs will be enough. With that decision, he added a large cup of water to the pot and continued. I'll follow the alchemist's method for this trial. I'll note down any problems and ask the group for advice later. After preparing everything, he started the induction stove. As he stirred the pot, smoke began rising. He thought, is this what refining elixirs is like? It feels so similar to cooking noodles. Soon, SongSeoHaeng set a timer on his phone and looking at the time said, "It looks like I didn't get it right. The heat and timing need experience to get right." SongSeoHaeng thought, but experience is something I completely lack. For now, all I can do is monitor the time. As soon as the 5-minute mark was reached, he immediately opened the pot and looked at the yellowish liquid inside. He said, "It really does feel like cooking noodles." After 5 minutes, he picked up a medicinal herb that resembled grass. This is called chuuni. It doesn't look too different from regular grass. Usually, it's a plant with a long green stem, and if you look closely, you can see dew clinging to it, like morning mist on the leaves. He noted, I couldn't find this herb online. It must be a special medicinal herb. It might cause some unique changes in the potion. He added, don't let me down. He threw the chuuni into the pot and said, even if it's a failure, at least let me expand my knowledge and see if cultivation really exists. After adding the herb, there was no significant change in the potion. Seeing this, SongSeoHaeng thought, it doesn't seem like there's any change. It's probably impossible. Suddenly, a chilling aura emanated from the ice crystal he was wearing, seeming to sharpen his senses. He looked at the pot and said, I see it now. Each time I stir, the golden essence from the herbs dissolves into the potion. He noticed that as the essence was released, the ginseng he added to the pot started to swell. He could feel the subtle changes in the 3 herbs, and it was indeed a fascinating experience. Realizing something was off, he said, wait, the heat seems to be incorrect, especially for the chuuni, which needs a higher temperature to be stimulated. He adjusted the induction stove, increasing the heat. Soon, the water in the pot began to change, and the chuuni Thao gradually dissolved. Seeing this, he said, the 5-minute mark passed, and it dissolved completely. It seems to be due to the special properties of the chuuni Thao. He thought, it seems like at the start, it's better not to add water. Instead, I should use a special method to heat the ginseng and wolfberry, then add the chuuni Thao to create the potion. I'm not sure if the potion in the pot is a failure, but at least I'm getting familiar with the process. After 46 minutes, he picked up his phone, looked at the time, and continued adding each medicinal ingredient. After increasing the heat, it took about 5 minutes for the herbs to fully dissolve and merge into the potion. The size, shape, and age of the medicinal herbs varied. Different temperatures, fire intensities, and the quality of the alchemy furnace all caused fluctuations in time. In these 5 minutes, his hands deftly placed the herbs while explaining that, after understanding the formula better, one could decide the time and fire intensity based on the dissolution of the potion. Finally, after 3.5 hours, he held the 40th medicinal herb and said, "This is the 40th herb. It's almost done." He threw the pile of herbs into the pot, and suddenly the pot emitted thick black smoke. Covering his mouth, he exclaimed, "What's going on? The water is evaporating even more, and why is there suddenly a foul smell? Did it fail?" Looking at the pot emitting thick black smoke and a strong stench, he thought for a moment before saying, "No, it's not completely failed yet. I can still save it. Adding water can slow down the evaporation process." He quickly added another cup of water into the pot. "Another 1 or 2 hours and the roommates will probably be back," he muttered to himself. "If they see me making alchemy, they'll send me to the mental hospital for sure." Determined, he threw all the remaining herbs into the pot. "Anyway, it's almost a failure. Consider it a learning experience. Bukatane, Ueoja in the group, has failed many times. If I succeed on the first try, wouldn't that be suspicious?" After a while, a strange transformation occurred in the pot. The herbs began to split, with one side hot and the other cold. Seeing this, he said, "This isn't good. The potion is splitting into 2 parts. I can't let them separate. I have to heat the cold part back up." Increasing the fire, he watched intently. After some time, he noticed, really strange. The potion is no longer separating into 2 extremes. It's starting to merge again. Maybe before the potion completely evaporates, some residue will be left. Suddenly, the lid of the pot began to hiss, with more steam escaping. Then, without warning, the pot exploded with black smoke, blowing the lid off. The protagonist stepped back quickly as a foul smell, along with black smoke, wafted from the pot, making him exclaim, "Ugh, it stinks so bad. It's like combining all the worst smells in the world." He nearly collapsed to the ground, retching, unable to bear the smell any longer. He had to dash to the window and open it, letting the black smoke and foul odor escape. "This smell," he muttered, "is beyond words and lingers endlessly." He wondered what kind of failed potion could produce such a nauseating stench. Opening the pot, he found only a small amount of thick, black sludge remaining inside, looking utterly repulsive. Suddenly, something caught his eye, and he exclaimed, "Wait a minute." Grabbing the recipe book, he read, "The finished potion is thick, black, and transparent with a foul odor. How is this possible?" He thought aloud. "It looks exactly like what I made. So, did I succeed or fail? I should test it." He hesitated, but then resolved, "No matter what, this is the result of my hard work over 3 hours." With that, he took a spoonful of the potion and thought, "I'll just taste it. 1 sip can't kill me, right? Better be ready to call an ambulance." He took the spoonful of potion, continuously muttering, "It's just sesame soup, it's just sesame soup." After swallowing it, he cried out, "My throat. It's burning. It's too spicy. I need to get my stomach pumped." As he reached for the phone to call for help, a strange sensation spread through his body. His stomach felt warm and comfortable, so much so that he almost moaned with relief. Every part of his body felt an extreme sense of comfort. Not long after, there was a sudden release, and he thought in embarrassment, "It feels like my internal organs have been cleansed cool and refreshing. Suddenly, his eyes widened in shock as he realized the potion was starting to take full effect. I need to get rid of this, he thought urgently. Meanwhile, at the women's dormitory, a few female students peeked out the window, laughing. Hey, come over here. Look at this guy running on the track in this weather. They giggled. Down below, the protagonist was jogging on the track, stripping off his plain white shirt to reveal a sculpted six-pack and defined obliques. The sight made the female students swoon. Wow, what a body! So masculine. Who knew he was so muscular under those clothes? Is he from our school? They wondered, enamored. Half naked, the protagonist noticed something black and slimy on his arm. Could this be the impurities being expelled from my body with the sweat? He mused, glancing down at his stomach to see the changes happening within him. He exclaimed in surprise, "What? It's real! This is the six-pack I've always dreamed of." As he spoke, he ran his hands over his newly defined abs. Just running a few laps, and my abs have developed like this. This potion is truly miraculous, he thought. He touched his neck and twisted it. Even the back pain and neck pain from sitting in front of the computer for too long are gone. My vision has also improved significantly. Gazing into the distance, he could clearly see a fly perched on the basketball hoop from more than 10 meters away. I can see a fly that far away. This is incredible. After returning to the dormitory, he took a shower and examined his body once more. My skin is not only fairer, but also has a healthy pink glow, he observed. What will I tell my roommates when they return? That I'm using a new whitening cream, he pondered. But the most important thing is that every member of the 9 continents know. One group are genuine cultivators, he realized, finding it hard to believe. The people I always thought were obsessed with fantasy novels have suddenly transformed into real cultivators. Each member has become a true cultivator, standing tall and proud. He rubbed his head and said, "This is too exciting. What should I do next?" He reflected, "Ignorance is bliss, but those who know more will fear more." Turning on his computer, he murmured, "Now I have 2 choices. Live a normal life as an ordinary person, or delve deeper into the world of the cultivators from 9 continents. No. 1. Integrating into their world and stepping onto the dangerous path of cultivation." Quickly, the protagonist made his choice to pursue cultivation. Even if the cultivation path brings terrifying tribulations like Toshiro the 16th, so what? No matter how many dangers, how many calamities, or how many life-threatening situations there may be, this thrilling and intense life is far better than a mundane existence. What is seeking the way and facing death compared to that? Having made his decision, he composed a message in the group chat. This was the protagonist's first message in the 9 continents no. 1 chat group. Without hesitation, he pressed enter to send it. Seusen under pressure greets the seniors. In the chat, Ryan Yeop Uioja asked, "Which senior is online now?" "Hello, senior." Bukatane responded, "Seusen under pressure, is that you?" Seusen under pressure? The mortal who mistakenly joined our group last time. I can't believe he's still in the group after all this time. And he's greeting the seniors right away. Has this kid discovered something special about our group? Bukatane thought to himself. In the group chat, Seusen under pressure messaged, "Hello, Senior Buka and Uioja. Thank you for the 2 chests of medicine." Vioja replied with a series of exclamations, "Ah, it's Senior Seusen under pressure." Seusen under pressure explained, "I'm just an ordinary person who was accidentally added to the group by Hwang Senjinin. My account number and hers were only 1 digit apart. Hwang Senjinin intended to add her but mistakenly added me instead." Ryumjapdo Uioja said, "Oh, Senior Seusen, now that you mention it, I realize our account numbers are indeed only 1 digit apart. It seems we were destined to meet." Buka read the messages and thought, "It appears that the kind Senior SongSeoHaeng in our group, who met this Uioja girl in Gangnam, is actually Seusen under pressure." Buka messaged, "SeoHaeng, if you have started messaging in the group, it means you must have noticed something about Uioja, right?" Uioja was puzzled. "Senior, what did you notice about me?" Seusen under pressure replied honestly, "Indeed, It has a lot to do with Uioja. While helping her find the ghost lamp temple, I truly felt she was very different from ordinary people. But the most important thing is that today, she sent me 2 chests of medicinal materials. I tried following the apothecary's recipe once and just drank a sip of the potion. Bukatane exclaimed, "Oh, could it be that you've successfully refined the potion?" He thought, a mere mortal managing to refine the potion based on a recipe and succeeding on his first try. When did alchemy become this easy? Or does this SongSeoHaeng have an incredibly extraordinary fortune? Ryungjapto Uioja asked, "Senior, did the medicine I sent only arrive this afternoon? Did you succeed on your first attempt?" Seusin under pressure said, "I'm not sure if I succeeded or failed. Although I followed the recipe step by step, an unexpected incident occurred at the 41st ingredient. In the end, I only got 5 spoonfuls of the potion. I tried a bit, and my body immediately became stronger. My vision, physical strength, endurance, and overall vigor all significantly improved." Bukatane responded, "Without a doubt, you have succeeded in refining the potion. Even if there were some unexpected incidents, at most, it would only reduce the quality of the potion you refined slightly." At this moment, Buka sat on a rock, pondering. The first time he refined a potion, he wasted quite a lot of medicinal ingredients. There was no way he could have succeeded on the first try. Buka continued, "Relatively speaking, I'm more curious about how many times SongSeoHaeng refined the potion. How many times did it take for you to succeed?" Seusin under pressure replied, "I only made 1 batch because I only have 1 electronic stove." Ryungjapto Uioja also messaged, "If we count the number of times, it must be just once, since the medicine I sent only arrived 5 or 6 hours ago." Bukatane was furious as he read the message, thinking, "Back then, I failed so many times that I almost went bankrupt before I could even touch the method of refining the potion. Truly, comparing oneself to others only leads to anger." In the group chat, Bukatane messaged, "SongSeoHaeng, the electronic stove you mentioned, could it be a type of alchemy furnace?" Uioja was puzzled. Is there such an alchemy furnace? Seusin under pressure replied, "It's just a household electronic stove, model number 12, produced by the company Y-Chan." Bukatane exclaimed, "An electronic stove is not an alchemy furnace. It's the kind of electronic stove used for cooking." Ryungjapto Uioja laughed, "Haha, no wonder you are such a remarkable senior, Buka." Still not giving up, Bukatane asked again, "Then, what about the alchemy furnace? What kind of furnace did you use?" The main character answered honestly, "If I must call it an alchemy furnace, then it would be a hot pot." Bukatane was baffled. "A hot pot? What kind of alchemy furnace is that? Wait, let me calm down. Don't tell me the hot pot is just the one used for cooking hot pot dishes." The main character confirmed, "That's exactly it." Seeing the main character's final message, Buka couldn't help but get veins popping on his face, getting more and more infuriated. He messaged the group, "Can I curse now?" Immediately, Wang Do Samrang and Choi Woljiosa messaged, "Dan it." Seeing this, Bukatane got so angry that he smashed the rock behind him, furiously saying, "Dan it. You all have already cursed, what else can I say?" Still not giving up, Buka then called for his senior pharmacist, saying, "Watch my ultimate move." The senior pharmacist finally appeared in the chat and messaged back, "Yes, I can describe the process of refining the potion, especially the unexpected incident you mentioned when adding the 41st ingredient." Uioja also said, "Senior, I particularly want to know about this step. I have failed several times at this point." The main character felt very comfortable participating in the conversation, without a hint of hesitation. Of course, part of the reason was that after being in seclusion for dozens of days, he had a good grasp of the personalities in the group. He messaged, "No problem, I'll give a brief description. First, I cut the ginseng into pieces, then added a ladle of water." The pharmacist asked, "Wait, why did you add water?" The main character replied, "Because if you don't add water, the cut ginseng pieces will dry out and burn when placed in the pot." Buka also commented, "That's true, especially since you are using an electronic stove and a hot pot." Buka couldn't stop thinking about the main character's hot pot and electronic stove. He said, After knowing the truth, I feel like my liver hurts more and more. Why do I always have a strange feeling? Why is refining a potion related to an electronic stove and a hot pot? The main character continued. When I added the 41st ingredient, there was a sudden foul and burnt smell. In an instant, a quarter of the water had evaporated. Yuaoja said, I've encountered a similar situation before. The potion quickly evaporated completely. Wang Do-samrang, the eccentric celestial master, also said, I've had the same experience. The pharmacist explained, because this ingredient acts as a catalyst. Once it's added, the extraction process enters its final stage. If you don't control the time and heat properly, this situation will occur. To avoid this, you need to accumulate experience. There is no other way. How did you get past this hurdle, SongSeoHaeng? The main character replied, I saw the potion evaporating quickly, so I added more water to slow down the evaporation. The pharmacist was surprised, adding more water? That might be a feasible solution. What happened next? Adding water can only slow down the process, not solve it completely. The main character responded, then, I decisively added the last 4 ingredients all at once and turned up the heat. Eventually, the pot lid popped off, and the final potion was reduced to about 5 spoonfuls. Bukatane was shocked a second time, 5 spoonfuls. If the spoon you mentioned isn't a child's size, then 5 spoonfuls is already a lot, the pharmacist messaged. How does the potion's effect compare to before? Ah, I forgot that this is your first time refining the essence of transformation. First, I will refine the potion using your method. After I have the results, I'll provide my feedback. Bukatane responded with a laugh. Pharmacist, always so eager about refining medicine. Wait until you've completed the refinement and then let's talk. If your recipe can refine the simplified essence of transformation successfully, in the future, everyone in the group who uses this method will owe you a favor. That favor will definitely be very advantageous to you. Over here, Bukan, the Wanderer, commented as he strolled, SongSeoHaeng refining the essence of transformation and messaging in the group means he wants to get into cultivation. It's as if he has taken a step into the world of cultivation. Bukatane messaged, in that case, SongSeoHaeng, welcome. You're now a member of the 9 Continents First Hao. Originally, these words should have been spoken by the group leader, Wang Senjinin, since he's the one who accepted you. However, today his beloved hound caused some trouble, so let me do it instead. The main character read this message and sighed. The great hound of the Huang family seems to have quite a personality. In the group chat, Bukatane continued, since you've chosen the path of cultivation, there are some things I must tell you. The path of cultivation is fraught with danger. The main character replied, I have a rough idea. I witnessed the thunder tribulation in the city from afar. Bukatane said, you even know about the thunder tribulation of a 16. It seems you've been paying attention to us ever since you joined the group. The main character explained, it's not exactly like that. From the beginning, I've always regarded you all as people with a bit of a delusional complex, entertaining to watch daily. So he messaged with a laugh, ha ha. Bukatane continued, if SeoHaeng wants to stay in the group, it indicates that you want to learn traditional cultivation methods. You have 2 options, be a loose cultivator or join the sect of one of the seniors in the group. Yuaoja then suggested senior, join us in Ryungjapto. Our Ryungjapto is rich in resources and has powerful techniques. Besides, I can assist you. Bukatane said, Yuaoja, don't interrupt, let me finish. Bukatane said, each option has its own pros and cons. In summary, joining a sect has advantages compared to being a loose cultivator. If you join a sect, you'll have a master to guide you in your cultivation, helping you avoid mistakes. However, you must follow the sect's rules. Particularly in sects like that of Master SongSeoHaeng, you must shave your head and say farewell to your family, enduring hardship until you achieve a certain level. If your luck is poor, you might never see your parents again in this lifetime. Bukatane recalled his past experience, almost lamenting silently as he remembered nearly missing out on the opportunity and suffering deeply. At that moment, Master SongSeoHaeng posted a smiling face. Seeing this, Bukatane responded with a laugh. Actually, it's not only Master SongSeoHaeng's sect, Many other sects also require bidding farewell to family. After all, a sect is not a sandbox. If disciples remain within the sect and haven't left yet, they'd rarely go out. The main character commented, "There's no reward without sacrifice." It's true. I think joining a sect doesn't suit me at the moment. At least right now, I'm not ready to leave my family and go into exile for specialized cultivation. At this point, Ryunjapto Uioja responded, "Senior, in this regard, we are much freer. As long as you can reach the third stage of the post-Heaven War King realm, you can leave Ryunjapto for a period each year. Moreover, I can help you gain even more freedom." Susen responded, "Thank you." Hearing Uioja's words, the main character thought, Uioja is renowned as a genius. He's been cultivating since he was young, and is now over 20 years old, but has only reached the third stage of the post-Heaven War King realm. I don't consider myself a genius. If it takes me 40 or 50 years to reach this stage, wouldn't that essentially mean I would be permanently separated from my parents? Bukatane then said, "Ahem, let's talk about loose cultivation. Without guidance, resources, or a place to cultivate, everything depends on oneself. The only benefit is the lack of restrictions." The main character asked, "So, where do loose cultivators obtain their techniques and resources?" Bukatane explained, "Wang Senjingun and other senior members often ask group members to help with small tasks. In return, they might receive some rewards. Or, regular members can help each other, which can also yield some benefits, like this time. Uioja gave you 2 chests of VAEY pills. Of course, it's not often that you meet someone as generous as this spoiled girl." Uioja said, "Buka, I'm not a spendthrift." Buka responded, "So if you choose to be a loose cultivator, you need to be more visible in the group. As long as you are diligent, you can gradually acquire techniques, medicinal pills, and resources. To be honest, the 9 continents #1 group is like a miniature sect." Hearing this, the main character happily said, "In the short term, being a loose cultivator is indeed the most suitable for me." Bukatane then asked, "So, what's your choice? Joining a sect or being a loose cultivator?" The main character replied, "I choose to be a loose cultivator." Bukatane said, "In that case, what you need now are methods for body refining, foundation building, and meditation. However, your strength is too weak. If you don't build your foundation first, neither the seniors nor fellow practitioners in the group will have the strength to help you. If you don't mind, I can provide you with foundation building techniques, along with meditation techniques to complement your current techniques. These should be enough for you to complete the foundation building in 100 days and reach the first grade of the mortal realm. Moreover, if you can refine blood key pills, you can save a lot of time." Reading Buka's message, the main character felt warmth and replied, "Even the most basic cultivation techniques are extremely necessary for me right now." He typed a thank you message to Buka. At this moment, Uioja said, "Buka, leave the basic techniques to me. Although I am only at the third stage, teaching basic techniques is not a problem. I happen to be planning another trip to Gangnam. I would very much like to broaden my perspective by seeing how you use the electronic stove to refine the medicinal pills. More importantly, while my father isn't home yet, I need to go out and have some fun for a few more days." Meanwhile, Wando Samrang was tied up in a position resembling a cylindrical rice cake, squirming on the ground. Lin Deep, the sect leader, typed a message on his phone, "Behave yourself at Ryunjapto. I will set off in an hour and will be back by dusk." The main character laughed, Lin Deep, using Samrang's account to talk. It seems Samrang is still in trouble. He was about to type a message when he paused. "Sorry to trouble you, Buka, but I need." Suddenly, the pharmacist in the chat said, "I'm going." Buka, not understanding, put a question mark. The pharmacist continued, "Buka, you can leave the instruction of the cultivation techniques to me. I want to personally see how you refine the medicinal pills. I will give you a decent reward as a token of appreciation. I have a set of body refinement techniques and meditation methods that are much better than those of Buka." Bukatane responded, "It's great that the pharmacist is willing to guide SongSeoHaeng." SeoHaeng, quickly agree with the pharmacist. Having a free teacher to guide you in foundation building is an opportunity you should not miss. At this moment, Buka was lost in thought underwater, reflecting on the difficulties of becoming a cultivator, particularly in body refinement and foundation building. He thought, SongSeoHaeng's luck is indeed extraordinary. First, Yueoja gave him medicine, and now he has the pharmacist's guidance for foundation building. The main character also expressed his gratitude to the two seniors. The pharmacist sent a message asking for SeoHaeng's contact details and address. Gangnam University, Gangnam District. I live in the school's dormitory. The main character replied, understood. I'll bring the poisonous dragon grass with me. He thought about whether the pharmacist needed the poisonous dragon grass right now. The pharmacist responded in the chat, come find me tomorrow morning. The main character noted that he had a class tomorrow morning, but would try to take leave if necessary. In the chat, Yueoja then asked, even though everyone in the 9 continents #1 group is helping, being a loose cultivator is still very tough. The main character replied, this path is currently the most suitable for me. Yueoja, reflecting on it, felt that the appearances of the two professors in the clinic were not coincidental. He said, isn't it true that these events are not random? Yueoja feigned ignorance and replied, haha, what are you talking about, SongSeoHaeng? It's definitely a coincidence. I've never told a lie in my life. Oh, my senior brother is calling me. He must have something to discuss. You all take your time, I'm leaving now. The main character thought to himself, it really isn't a coincidence. I knew it. In this world, there are very few things that are so coincidental. He reflected, it's truly like a dream. I originally thought that becoming a cultivator